Hello again, everyone. I'm Rich Yepsen, along with Marty Quist, and our special guest, Scott the Piano Guy Houston. Now, this is our last break, so you only have a little bit of time left to thank and support your public television station for bringing you this great Scott Houston special. And in a few minutes, we'll tell you how you can get some great thank you gifts so you can be playing piano at home in no time. We're sure that you've enjoyed this program. It's very exciting to think that you can learn to play in such a short amount of time. But if you've enjoyed Play Piano in a Flash and you want to see more programs like this in the future, you must now pick up your phone and give us your financial support. Public TV always strives to bring you the best programming possible, but we really do need your support. You are the public in public television, and its future, its strong future, depends on great viewers like you. For your pledge of $200, you'll receive this great gift, Scott Houston's book, Play Piano in a Flash, which shows you step-by-step everything you need to know about playing piano just like the pros. You'll also get an audio example CD with Scott playing and explaining everything you need to know, including his cheap tricks. There's also a quick start chord chart to help you out. And finally, there's a VHS or DVD that contains not only this entire program, but an additional 1.5 hours of material.
Wow, Scott, that was a lot of information that we got, but I really think I have a good understanding as to what I need to learn to finally go home and play that tune. Yay! I am. I'm very excited about it. What really surprised me, though, was the whole thing that you said about sheet music.
I know.
And that I don't have to read sheet music. I know.
Isn't that great
Yay.
news? That's fantastic news. Yeah,
Yes.
it's a fun thing to hear from most people that they say, now wait a minute, you're telling me I can ignore 90% of what's on a piece of sheet music and still play a tune, and then I come back and say, yes, and even better, you're going to be playing it right.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be playing it stylistically correctly. You know, I try to make this point over and over that when you see all of the notes on a regular piece of sheet music, you're not really reading what the composer wrote, you're reading what some arranger arrange the tune to write, because most people don't know how to play lead sheets like I just taught everybody in the show. And because of that, publishers can't publish things in that format and sell very much of it. And it's just kind of one of those funny situations that's arisen that the reality is to play non-classical tune correctly, you don't want to play all those notes. And the beauty, the back door of the whole thing is just saying that hey, ignore 90% of it, you'll never ever be challenged by the note reading ever again.
And that's the part that really surprised me probably the most, because I told you that I took piano lessons way back when, and that was one of my biggest struggles.
Yeah. Can you play anything having taken piano lessons?
Not much, I must say, if anything.
Not to put you on the spot, but you're in the majority, not the minority. And you know, it breaks my heart when everyone says they failed at piano lessons, and I say, you know what, maybe piano lessons failed you. Assuming, you know, you're not wanting to go out and become a classical pianist, there's a much easier way to do it, and this is it. And usually it's amazing the number of times that people come up to me after, you know, a presentation I do, and they say, Scott, there's got to be more to it. I say, there isn't. Now, I'm not trying to make this sound too easy. Is there a lot more you can get into? Well, sure. You know, and I encourage everyone to do it. But with what I just talked about on the show, legitimately, that's how we all do it. That's how we play.
We hope that you're enjoying Play Piano in a Flash. We'll be getting back to Scott and Marty in the far corner of our studio to continue reviewing what you've seen. But first, we'd like to ask you to take a moment, call the number on your screen, and show your support for great programs like this one on public television. If you call right now and pledge $75, we'll gladly send you a copy of Scott Houston's award-winning book, Play Piano in a Flash, along with an accompanying audio example CD. Plus, as a bonus, you'll receive a quick start chord chart that will help you get started playing like a pro. At the $150 level, you can choose a VHS or DVD copy of the program you're watching right now, plus an additional 1.5 hours of material that takes off from where the program ends. The combination of the book, the example CD, the quick start chord chart, the VHS or DVD full program can be yours if you pledge $200 to support this public TV station. Now, back to Scott and Marty.
So So every time you've been playing here and kind of noodling around, you've used two hands.
Right.
And that's the part that I want to get a little bit more familiar with, is how I use both my left and my right hand to start playing.
I'll bet that probably gave you fits when you were taking lessons as a kid, didn't it?
A little bit, yes.
You're not alone in that one either. Yeah, the situation that really stumps a huge number of people when they're taking traditional piano lessons is this idea of trying to get both hands working together. And there's a lot of this stuff going on. You know, everyone has this problem doing all those things. Well, a huge amount of that just goes away when you play in this style because, again, back to this note reading thing, you'll never, ever have to read any notes for your left hand. It's just the best news in the world if you've ever tried to.
Right, which I'm quite grateful for, yes.
Well, you're welcome. I'd like to say I made this up, but I didn't. And,
well,
you know, this is just the way we all do it. But instead of, to make clear with that, your left hand, instead of having to read notes in that second line of music, they call it the bass clef, but instead of reading all that, we just look at a chord symbol. And by knowing what the chord symbol is, you just play the chord at one time. You know. And then in your right hand, that is where you do have to get into just a little bit of note reading. In that, you need to be able to identify, you know, the names of the notes in that line of music. They call it the treble clef. And just to review that really quickly, that's the every good boy does.
That's what I was going to say. I'm like trying to go through that in my head.
Sure.
So
well, I know I go through that very quickly in the presentation because of the necessity of the format that we're doing here. But just to mention that quickly, the way that works is there's 5 lines in that line of music, and every line has a space between it. And as you move the dot with the note, whether it's a filled-in one or a hollow one, it doesn't matter. We talk about all that in the book and some other things. But whatever line or space that dot is on, that tells you what note to play. And the reason we always laugh about saying every good boy does fine is because if you take the first letter out of each one of those words and you say E for every, G for good, B for boy, D for does, F for fine. So you go E, G, B, D, and F.
Right.
That's the 5 lines from the bottom to the top.
And that does help me remember.
Yeah.
So
and the 4 spaces between them are...
Right, face. I do remember that.
That's exactly right.
F-A-C-E.
That's right, the word face.
Yes.
So you've got every good boy does fine, and then face on the 4 spaces between it. And you need to memorize that. And there's nothing I can, not a big shortcut I can give you, but I'll also tell you, go sit down by yourself for 15 minutes and memorize every good boy does fine and face. And that really is what you need to know as far as remembering what those notes are in the treble clef.
A little study.
Yeah.
Easy enough.
As Marty just said, it is easy enough. In fact, now that you've been watching Scott for just a little while, you can see just how easy playing the piano can be. We'll get back to more of Scott's review in just a minute. If you're a regular viewer of public TV, you might be thinking that you haven't seen Scott Houston on this station before, and you'd be right. Scott and Play Piano in a Flash are new to public TV. And if you like what you see and want programs like this one to continue so that others can learn how to play piano in a flash, we invite you to show your support and call in your pledge to this station right now. Call the number on your screen right now and give us your pledge. In return, we'll send you some great gifts. If you pledge at the $75 level, you'll receive Scott Houston's book, Play Piano in a Flash, plus an audio example CD and a quick start chord chart to help you along. For a pledge of $150, you can choose either a VHS or a DVD copy of this program that contains a bonus of 90 minutes of additional material. If you pledge $200, you get it all: the book, the CD, the chord chart, and either the VHS or DVD with 90 minutes of additional material. Don't wait. Call the number on your screen right now and show your support for this public TV station.
Now, you told me I would be able to go home and play one of my favorite tunes.
Yep.
And one of my favorite tunes is These Are a Few of My Favorite Things.
Ah, sure. Sure, it's a great old tune.
I want to go home and be able to play this.
Okay.
How am I going to do that?
Well,
for sure.
again, you're talking about this tune, right?
Yes, that's the one.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a pretty tune. It's a great tune. You bring up a really good point. And if I didn't make it clear enough in the presentation, let me make sure I bring it up now. The issue is this: once you learn how to play a lead sheet and play in this style, every tune kind of becomes equally as difficult as every other one, because every tune has a melody line and every tune has some chords. So the big point I make to everyone is, look, life is too short. Don't waste all your time playing these tunes you don't want to play. Pick your favorite tune.
Right.
And you know what yours is, which is great. I'm thrilled you know what yours is and you're ready to go. So if you're going to have to go out and learn a few chords with your left hand, why not learn the chords to the tune you have always wanted to play the most first? It's just, it seems so logical, yet a lot of people still are kind of have these blinders on that, oh, well, boy, I can't go play my favorite tune. I have to go work for 2 years and do all these hard things. I say, no, you don't. Just go out and learn the 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever number of chords that is. and do those first.
Right.
And if you do that, you'll be able to play your all-time favorite tune right away.
Great, because that is what I want to do. That's what I think most people want to get out of this. So that I can do.
3 chords, right here. That's all it was, 3 different chords.
You just heard Scott ask Marty the name of her favorite tune, and I'm sure that everyone watching this Pledge Special right now has one song that really means something special to you. When you hear it on the radio, when you play it on your CD player, it's a song you really enjoy hearing. Well, how would you like to play that song on the piano whenever you want? With Scott Houston's Piano in a Flash, you'll be able to play that special song and many, many more. Just think of the fun you could have during the holidays, playing your family's favorite Christmas carols. If you keep watching, you'll see how easy learning to play the piano can be. Even easier is picking up the phone right now, dialing the number on your screen, and pledging your support to this public TV station. Your pledge keeps programs like Play Piano in a Flash coming into your home. So don't wait. Call right now. When you pledge your support for public TV in the amount of $200, we'll send you this terrific gift: a copy of Scott Houston's award-winning book, Play Piano in a Flash, an audio example CD, plus a quick start chord chart, and a VHS or DVD copy of the Play Piano in a Flash program that contains a bonus of 90 minutes of additional material, including some of Scott's best cheap tricks. So call the number on your screen right now. Give us your pledge of $200 and receive these great gifts for supporting public TV.
Now, I noticed when you were giving us instruction that you gave us instruction about just playing one chord at a time.
measure, right.
Right, exactly. But you, as you've been playing here, look like you're doing things a little bit more complicated. Can you explain?
You caught me.
Yes. I was looking, I was watching carefully,
No,
yes.
This is a real simple thing. Yeah, I was doing, again, I make this point, I've been doing this a lot longer than you have, so yeah, I'm throwing in some of these little kind of cheap tricks and noodle ideas, but that's a very easy one. Instead of just playing a chord, you know, the entire measure, and just holding it down without doing anything, what I was doing that you saw me doing was just playing the chord with some sort of a rhythmic pattern. So, for example, I can play something like this. Just, it's the same chord.
I was going to say, it's the same chord.
I'm not moving my hand. I'm just picking some rhythmic pattern.
Okay.
You know, that's the...
Okay. See, that's simple enough.
Yeah, instead of just doing something like that.
It looked more complicated than that.
No,
But
just little things like that. They call that comping, actually, in the jazz world. That's known as comping. But it's just a simple thing. You just play the same chord, whatever the chord you're on, and just use some little rhythmic pattern to jazz it up a little bit.
Earlier in this program, I gave you some details about a special gift you would receive for your pledge of $75. That was Scott Houston's Piano in a Flash book, plus an audio example CD and his quick start chord chart. For a pledge of $150, you'll receive a full video library of this program, plus a bonus hour and a half in either VHS or DVD format. The combination of the book, the example CD, the quick start chord chart, and the VHS or DVD full program can be yours for a pledge of $200. I think you'll agree that it's one of the most entertaining how-to programs around. And just by watching it, you're learning what it takes to play the piano, something you probably didn't think was possible in just one sitting. So, for $200, you get the book, the CD, and the VHS or DVD, your choice. And there's a significant bonus on that VHS or DVD, an additional hour and a half of material that picks up where this program leaves off. Because Scott was forced to really condense and move quickly through a few topics you've seen due to this format, in this bonus follow-up hour and a half, he takes time to really get into the nuts and bolts of the remaining things you'll love learning about. So, call the number you see on your screen right now. Don't wait. Pledge your support for this public TV station in the amount of $200 and get these great gifts. Give yourself the gift of music for a fraction of the traditional cost.
are there any more like quick tricks you can show me with chords like you were talking about before?
Sure. You could do these all night long. That's the beauty of chords. It really opens up the whole world of playing music in a style when you learn some chords. Rather than doing the comping, you could do instead of playing the notes all together, you can separate the notes of the chord and kind of roll into them. You know, instead of just playing a chord together, just go like this. Now again, it's exactly the same hand position, the same cast. You know, I was laughing about the cast in the show. Just, you know, same cast you're in, but just doing it like that. I mean, there's...
What you were just showing, too, with the rolling, that can be done with the C or the F or the G chord as well.
Sure.
So.
I mean, or you slow it down a little bit more and you can do, you know, some things like going... I think that's an example I used in the show, but, you know, something very simple. Use the same 3 notes, you know, or maybe you slide up and go...
Right. And how quickly quickly it becomes a song. That's what I find quite fascinating too. It's like,
and again, specifically if you use C, F, and G, easy for me to say.
Fascinating too. It's like,
and again, specifically if you use C, F, and G, easy for me to say. If you say C, F, and G and you use just those three chords, any of these tricks, you can play a lot of tunes simply because it's the blues chord.
Right.
Like we mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Pledge specials like this one serve as a kind of reminder to everyone who watches and enjoys public TV that the word public refers to you. You're the public in public television. By making a call right now to pledge your support to this public TV station and find educational programming like Play Piano in a Flash, you are helping to keep public television alive and healthy. Your pledge tells us that you like this kind of programming that you can't find anywhere else on TV. So call the number on your screen right now and pledge your support for public television.
When you phone in a pledge to your public TV station in your community, you're making an investment. And if you're like most people, you probably want to see a return on that investment. On public television, that return is very easy to see. It's right here on your screen. It's programs like this one, Play Piano in a Flash. As you have seen, Scott Houston makes playing the piano entertaining, educational, and fun. Think about it. In just over an hour, you have moved from learning how to play the piano to actually playing songs. And the only place you're going to be able to get a deal like this on piano lessons is right here on your public TV station. Is that worth something to you? Is that worth something to your community? The answer, of course, is yes. So if you want to continue seeing great programs like this one, pick up your phone, dial the number on your screen, and make an investment that will pay great dividends. Invest in public television by giving us your pledge right now. And if you choose to invest your dollars at a certain level, you'll receive some great gifts. Here's Rich to tell you what they are.
If you pledge in the amount of $75, we're going to send you a copy of Scott's award-winning book, Play Piano in a Flash. He won a Best Award from the Booksellers Association for how-to books. We'll also send you an audio example CD. That has Scott talking about and playing in context all of his cheap trick examples that are from the last 2 chapters of the book. As a bonus, you'll get a fold-out quick start chord chart. The book contains everything you need to get started right away. At the $150 level, you can choose a VHS or DVD copy of the program you're watching right now, plus an additional 1.5 hours of material that takes off from where the program ends. The combination of the book, the example CD, the quick start chord chart, the VHS or DVD full program can be yours if you pledge $200 to support this public TV station. Whatever level you choose, join now. Make the call, make the pledge.
Coming up, I'm going to be giving you a quick Cliff Notes summary of the overall presentation I've just presented. Now, was this a pretty quick view into the world of playing like pros play? Yes. Is there a lot more out there I will want to learn about playing this style of playing? Of course. But no kidding, with just those 3 chords that I taught you and a melody line, you're now armed to play literally thousands of songs and styles. As much as people are conditioned to think otherwise, learning how to play in this non-classical style is just fantastically simpler, and it's a lot more straightforward for most people. Everything you'll need to know is covered a lot more thoroughly in the book and the video, which can be yours as a special thank you gift for your contribution to this station. If this piano playing interests you, let your voice be heard by calling right now.
Literally thousands of people have learned to play piano using Scott's methods. Here's what some of his students had to say. I never had a piano lesson before the class, but I knew I had an ear and hands for playing. I play every day for relaxation on top of an already overloaded schedule, and I love it. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your information. You've fulfilled a lifelong dream. Piano playing seems to be a deep longing in a lot of people's hearts. Well, now that I know how to play, I've been shopping for a piano. Your method is great. Having taught and played many years, I was looking for a method book that would allow my students to quickly learn some type of chord playing while continuing their classical studies. Your method is a very fun one to work with, and there has been much positive response from my students. So tell me, what type of people attend your seminars?
Well, that's kind of a funny point. When I started doing this, I really expected the vast majority of people that would be interested in this would be, kind of serious musicians or horn players that didn't play piano that wanted to play a little, or even in particular singers. I always thought a lot of singers would come and want to play and do that kind of a thing. But I was dead wrong. The reality is this enormous army of adults out there are who come to my classes.
Right.
And it kind of surprised me. I think it's a funny thing that a lot of people think that they have this kind of secret desire, gee, I'd love to go out and play some piano. And they
That
think,
was me.
yeah, and you think you're the only one that feels that way, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I bet if we were in a crowded room and I asked that question, 99% of the people would raise their hand, and that really was a pleasant surprise for me. I had no idea this, the interest in this was going to be what it is. And again, I just think it's back to that simple thing of people saying, is there just some way I could do this without all the agony?
Right.
And
some people that just like want to play the piano, but you mentioned singers.
Yeah.
And some people like to sing, or they already sing, but they don't know how to play the piano with it.
Well, that gets back to some of this stuff. Everyone says, I've tried to sing and accompany myself, and a lot of singers say, I just want to sing some songs and I want to be able to accompany myself. And boy, when that opens up a different door in this style of playing, in that when you accompany, it gets even easier because you don't have to play a melody line. Remember, what we've been doing all night is playing a chord with our left hand and a melody line with our right hand.
Right.
When you accompany yourself, you don't want to play a melody because you're singing the melody, or whoever you're accompanying is singing or playing the melody, and you don't want to kind of step on each other's toes. So it makes it even simpler. Then you don't even have to read any notes. All you have to read is the chord symbols. It's kind of like a guitar player does. You think about a guitar player just playing chords and singing.
Right.
Well, the piano version of that is you just read the chord symbols, and maybe instead of playing a chord with your left hand, you could play a chord in your right hand. Same chord, just play it with a different hand, and then reach down and hit nothing but the root with your left hand.
Okay.
Remember we talked about the root?
Yes, I
just
do
hit
remember
that.
that.
Reach down and just play a root.
Simple enough,
Something
and
like
then
that.
you can be singing along with it and accompany
That's right.
yourself as you
and
said.
it makes a big amount of this go right out the window because you're not having all this while trying to get it going at the same time. It makes it a lot simpler. You think about, to bring just one more topic on that, you think about the great accompanists you hear. This is a good example. You always think of Tony Bennett singing San Francisco, right?
Yes.
And think about this. When he sings San Francisco, here he is by himself saying, I left my heart. And then you hear the piano player, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, in San Francisco, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. Well, they're not usually playing at the same time. The piano player stays out of the way. And that's why, less is more in that regard.
Another really huge consideration for many people is the amount of money involved in taking traditional classical piano lessons. If you desire to become a classical piano player, it is an absolute requirement that you invest not only the time, but the money needed to take weekly lessons for years and years. When you do the math on taking lessons once a week, for an average of $20 a week for 3 or 4 years, you get in the range of $4,000. That's a pretty big commitment. But Scott makes the valid point that if your piano goals do not include becoming a classical piano player, then maybe there's another way. His way. For your gift of $200, you can get the equivalent of 2 to 3 years of lessons with the thank you gifts we've arranged for you for supporting your local public TV station. For your pledge of $200, you'll receive this great gift. Scott Houston's book, Play Piano in a Flash, which shows you step by step everything you need to know about playing piano just like the pros. You'll also get an audio example CD with Scott playing and explaining everything you need to know, including his cheap tricks. There's also a quick start chord chart to help you out. And finally, there's a VHS or DVD that contains not only this entire program, but an additional 1.5 hours of material. The combination of the book, the example CD, the quick start chord chart, and the VHS or DVD full program can be yours for a pledge of $200. Whatever the amount of your pledge, make the call and make that pledge right now.
In the book and video, I go on down the path to show you how to take what you've learned and apply it to, say, blues. Or maybe some jazz stuff. Now, just as important, I throw open the door for any tunes by showing you more chords and how to build those chords. I also tell you the real story behind all sorts of things that tend to give people fits when they take traditional lessons, like reading rhythms or getting your hands to work together and all sorts of other stuff. Teaching people to play using the things we've discussed really works. I've proven it to thousands of people. I get testimonials all the time from people who have attended a presentation or bought my book, and they just thank me profusely for simply opening the door and allowing themselves to experience making music as opposed to just regurgitating black dots on white paper like most people are taught to do in traditional lessons. Now, although it's my pleasure to bring it to you, what's really needed is for you to let this station know that you want more. Pick up the phone, call now and support public television, and give yourself the gift of music.
When you first tuned in to Play Piano in a Flash, you probably thought that learning to play the piano couldn't be that easy. Well, now you know just how easy it can be. And if you know somebody who has always wanted to play the piano but never got around to learning or taking lessons, then you now have an opportunity to give a really great gift, the gift of music. By calling in your pledge to this public TV station, you're showing your support for programs like Play Piano in a Flash. And by keeping programs like this one in your community, you are giving people of all ages a chance to have some fun and learn about music at the same time. It's a great way to get your kids interested in playing the piano, and sometimes that's not an easy sell. You can even do this with your kids. That's the magic of Scott Houston's way of teaching. So pick up the phone and call the number on your screen right away. Show your support for great programs like Play Piano in a Flash by phoning in your pledge now. You have been showing us some great tricks, and they are giving me more confidence about the ability to do this. I'm wondering if you can tell me any more.
Sure. There's a boatload of these, and that's what's so funny. You know, in the format of the presentation, I wasn't able to get a lot of them in there, but a lot of these things are also in the book and the audio CD and some of these other things that we're talking about. But this is another good one that you can really put to use right away. It's a little tiny bit tougher, just purely from target practice reasons, because it requires some jumping. But what this entails is whatever chord you're playing in your left hand, instead of just playing it, you know, wherever you're going to do it, reach down first and hit the root. Remember I talked about the roots,
yes,
whatever the letter name of the chord symbol is. Just hit the single note root down 1 octave. It's kind of imitating a bass player is what you're doing. You play that and then come up and play the chord. So, you know.
Right. So it might be the F note and then the F chord right above that. Okay.
Right. Whatever the root is, no matter what flavor of the chord, whatever the root is, just hit that single note and then come up and hit the chord.
Simple enough.
Yeah, that's another good one.
All of us love going to concerts or shows to see our favorite performers live and in person. The songs we hear are favorites, bringing back a lot of special memories. Inevitably, we leave those performances humming that favorite song, and that leads to getting out records we haven't played in a while to hear that tune again and again. As much as we like listening to our favorite artists and favorite songs, have you ever thought about how neat it would be to get home and actually play that favorite song on that piano that just sits there in your home looking beautiful but gathering dust? Well, Scott Houston is making it possible for you to keep the music you love alive in your home by giving you a chance to learn how to play piano in a Flash. It's easy, and as you're seeing, it's fun. I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned from Scott while watching him work his magic is that it is so important for all of us to realize that this is for fun. Not more stress, not years of lessons costing thousands of dollars, but just fun. Simple, good for your soul fun. Assuming your goal is not to become a professional concert pianist, why not give it a shot? So while you're watching, take a break to phone in your pledge of support for public TV. There are some great gifts you can get right now if you call. If you pledge at the $75 level, we'll be happy to send you a copy of Scott's book, Play Piano in a Flash, plus a Book Examples audio CD, which includes Scott not only describing what he's doing, but playing in context all of his cheap trick examples from the last 2 chapters of the book. Plus, you'll get a fold-out quick start chord chart. The book contains everything you need to start playing right away. At the $150 level, you can choose a VHS or DVD copy of this program. It contains an additional hour and a half of material that picks up where this program leaves off. The combination of the book, the examples CD, the quick start chord chart, and the VHS or DVD full program can be yours for a pledge in the amount of $200. Whatever level you choose, make the call, make that pledge, support public TV right now.
So tell me, Scott, you have mentioned what a simple instrument the piano is to play.
Yeah.
Is it really that simple?
Yeah, you know, it sounds funny to say that, and I'm not saying that, you know, you can just immediately jump in and do everything, but the point I was making, and it really is an eye-opener for a lot of people, is that physically, mechanically, this is just such an easy instrument to play compared to all these other instruments. And, you know, for example, and I think I probably said this in the presentation, you know, if I play a note on a piano, now you play that note. Oh, nope, a little harder. There, sounds exactly the same, right? Well, that's kind of my point, is that, you know, if I handed you a trumpet and I played a trumpet, if I'd been playing trumpet for 20 years and handed you a trumpet and said play that note, well, you couldn't do it. or if I said play this hard chord on a guitar, all these other things. But for a piano, it's real physical. It's just a, you know, I can't control whether this is in or out of tune, and I can't, there's all these things that are out of your control. Your only objective or your only obligation as a piano player is to get your fingers over the right notes.
Right.
And again, I know I'm sounding like I'm oversimplifying, but it's really a giant point. You know, a lot of other instrumentalists don't quit playing because they can't read. They quit playing because they can't play the instrument. Well, piano players, no one allows me to do this workshop and to teach this style of piano, because I don't think I could do this on any other instrument for that reason.
What kind of programs do you enjoy watching on public television? If you want to keep up on current affairs, there's the News Hour with Jim Lehrer, Washington Week in Review, and Now with Bill Moyers. For interesting and in-depth discussion on a variety of topics and events, there's Charlie Rose. Series like Nova and Nature take us on journeys of discovery every week and teach us more about the world in which we live. If you enjoy these programs, then show your support for public television by calling the number on your screen right now and give us your pledge. It will help your public TV station, this public TV station, keep great programming coming each and every day for your whole family. So call right now. We have some special gifts for you, too, that will make it easier for you to start playing right away in your own home. If you pledge at the $75 level, we'll be happy to send you a copy of Scott's book, Play Piano in a Flash, plus a Book Examples audio CD, which has Scott talking about what he's doing and also playing in context all of his cheap trick examples from the last 2 chapters of the book. Plus, you'll get a fold-out quick start chord chart. This book contains everything you need to start playing right away, so call right now. If you choose to pledge at the $150 level, you can choose a VHS or DVD copy of this program, which contains an additional hour-and-a-half of material that picks up where this program leaves off. The combination of the book, the example CD, the quick start chord chart, and the VHS or DVD full program can be yours for a pledge of $200. Whatever the amount of your pledge, make the call and make that pledge right now.
Public television is important to me, and it should be important to you. There's educational programming, cultural programming, and entertainment programming. None of it is possible without your support. Please call now. We need your pledge.
All right. Now, like we promised, I'm going to try to give you a really compressed version of the entire presentation just to give you one last little go-around. Now remember also that all of these things are explained in much more detail in the book and in the video and some of these other things, so you may want to consider, you know, getting those to really fill in the gaps, I guess. But to go over this one last time, here's where we start out. Your left hand needs to learn how to play some chords. All right? You find out what chord that you need to play by looking at something called a chord symbol. Now, chord symbols show up in music up above the music, and they're typically just a letter, and sometimes there's some things after them. All right? The big thing to remember about chords, particularly the 3 that we went through today, the C and the F and the G chord, is that they all fall under some hand position. And I think it's a great way mentally to try to remember a chord if you think of what hand position am I in? What cast is my hand in to play those chords? In the case of this C, F, and G chord, they were all 3 exactly the same cast. So we had a C chord, and an F chord, and a G chord. All right, those 3 chords. Again, those are great chords to learn because they just happen to be the 3 chords that are in the blues. So for thousands and thousands of pieces of music, that's the only 3 chords there are. Now, to make one more quick point, please know, and I kind of say this for a comfort level reason, most songs don't have 20 or 30 chords in them. They have 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or something like that. I mean, it's a number that's in the 1s and 2s, not in the 20s and 30s. So I just say that because some people think, oh, geez, I'm going to have to learn all these chords to ever get to a tune. I say, no, no, no. To play one tune, you're just going to need to learn the 4 or 5 or 7 or 8 or whatever that number is for just the tune you're on. And I emphasize, please just learn the chords you need to learn to get through the tune you're trying to play. And you need to make sure that that tune is one you've always wanted to play. Okay, so we have the chords, and we know what they are just because we memorized what hand position they are, all right? Now, you play a chord whenever a chord symbol appears in the piece of music. Whenever you get along a piece of music and a chord symbol appears up above the line of music, just play it with your left hand. It's that simple. All right, switching gears. Let's go to the right hand. Now, in your right hand, you are going to need to get to a point where you can identify the names of the notes in the treble clef. The important point, it's never going to be any more than that. All right? That's really the great news. Even if you have never in your life looked at a piece of music, understand that getting to a point where you can read a single note in a melody line is really a very elementary thing, and it's something that they have children doing in band very, very quickly. So please don't think that's going to be a stumper if you are at that point. If you already have had some lessons, or you've ever played an instrument in band, or you've ever been in choir or anything else, you probably already know that. So the fantastic news is, from a note reading standpoint, you are done. Your obligation of how to become a better note reader is over. That's really what takes the chains off for most people, as opposed to the alternative when you take classical piano lessons, and the entire ability to become a better player is stuck to the situation of needing to become a better note reader. And in this case, it isn't the case. You can be a good note reader and be a good player, but you can also be a pretty darn poor note reader and be a great player in this style. And that's the good news for most people. Now, back to our right hand. The right hand is going to need to play that one note at a time melody line. That line will always occur in what's called the treble clef. It's the line of music, when you look at a piece of sheet music, that has that kind of curly QS thing at the beginning of it. The other great news, you'll never, ever, ever have to look at the bass clef ever again. That other part that gives everyone trouble and keeps everybody from learning how to play piano, forget about it, all right? Now, to put them together, you play the melody line in the treble clef, whatever is written in the treble clef. For your left hand, you don't look at the bass clef, you don't look at anything else but the chord symbols up top. So by doing that, you ignore about 90% of a standard piece of sheet music. By ignoring 90% of a piece of sheet music, what you're really doing is reading what's called a lead sheet. All right? All a lead sheet is a one-note melody line with chord symbols up above it. And that's the kind of music that pros read. It's the way pros have the ability to immediately sit down, play a tune, and sound like you want to sound. It's not that we read really well, and it's not that we read all of this sheet music, because if I was reading every note on a piece of sheet music, I wouldn't be playing what the composer wrote. I'd be playing an arrangement of what the composer wrote. What the composer really wrote was the lead sheet. It was the melody line and the chord symbols. And by playing like this, it allows you to become a music maker. Not just a note regurgitator, but a music maker. And in this exercise, I want to learn how to play. I don't want to just become a great note reader. I want to play piano. I want to make some music. That's what this whole human experience is about. It's about something that's good for the soul. It's about something that makes you feel good. And to have the freedom to just sit down and play a tune the way you want to play it is a good thing.
For your pledge of $200, you'll receive this terrific gift: Scott Houston's book, Play Piano in a Flash, which shows you step-by-step everything you need to know about playing piano just like the pros. You'll also get an audio example CD with Scott playing and explaining everything you need to know, including his cheap tricks. There's also a quick start chord chart to help you out. And finally, there's a VHS or a DVD that contains not only this entire program, but an additional 1.5 hours of material.
I hope you've enjoyed the information that I've been able to expose you to in this presentation. And I hope that you realize that playing piano is not out of your reach. So many people come to this exercise with so many preconceived notions of ease or difficulty, and I need to tell you this is within your reach. You don't need to have long, skinny fingers, or you don't need to have some incredible note reading ability. What you need to do is sit down, memorize the 4 or 5 or 6 chords in the tune you have always wanted to play the most, and start playing that one first. Have fun, play piano, and just remember, life is too short to play silly tunes, so learn how to play like a pro and go have some fun.
There's still time for you to call in and pledge your support to public TV right now. Call the number on your screen, pledge your support for great programs like Play Piano in a Flash and public television.
KWSU and KTNW Public Television are